This video response is going to go out to Andrew Wyatt, and that is because he left a comment on a video response I made to the indefatigable theist, and if I'm mispronouncing that, I'm terribly sorry. Okay. Here's what he had to say. I'm going to simply disprove you utilizing my research skills. Okay. I'm going to be blunt. Okay. I think you are completely wrong. You cannot simply say, oh, if you're facing bullyism, we must pump education down your throat. There are some bullies that are very intelligent. That's true. Do you realize some of the bullyism that is occurring today is very commonly a situation where the bully is victimizing or targeting a less intelligent or non-academically gifted student? Well, that's part of the reason why I'm here. To raise their academic standards to such a degree, and then we're talking about the victim here, to raise the victim's academic standards to such a degree where they can be a match for the school bully. That's part of the reason why I'm here. And so help me if I have to teach them elementary mathematics, that's exactly what I'm going to do so that I can make them more than a match for the bully that they're facing. Okay. The research I found, I noted that the data supports the claims that kids are bullied for being more intelligent. The data was pretty astonishing. I'm sure a data processor like yourself would be appreciative of the correlation of data the company implemented. Of course I appreciate it. But as a data processor, I do pay attention to the details. That's what data processors do. They pay attention to the details. And I'll explain that in a little bit. Okay? In 2012, a research was conducted and they surveyed 1,000 bullied kids. 1,000 what? I have a link to the article down here in the comments below. Alright, and I did the description, okay? And we're going to start this way. First detail. 1,000 what kids? 1,000 British children. These are children in Great Britain or in the United Kingdom. Okay? Now then, why is that important? Well, I don't recall ever attending a school in Great Britain or in the UK. And I don't recall you ever attending a school in Great Britain or in the United Kingdom. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. You have to keep in mind that the academic standards of Great Britain or the UK is a little different than here in the United States. If you want to research this for yourself, you are more than welcome to do so. And since you brought it up, I may do the research myself to demonstrate my point. Okay. Anyway, let's go on here. In the research, we learned that 27% of children surveyed ages 11 through 16 say they have been bullied over their intelligence level or abilities and talents. What'd they say? Here's what they said. 27.3% quit an activity. Now, what do I mean by an activity? Now, if we were going to refer this to, like, say, American schools, we'd be talking about football, or basketball, or cheerleading, or band practice, or maybe they have a golf team and they decided to quit a golf team because of the bully. Now, this does not mean that the bully that's in the activity is also in their classroom. That could be the case, or the bully may be in the activity and not in the classroom. And the research doesn't state whether the bully was both in the activity in the classroom or if he was in one or the other. It doesn't state that. I would have loved to have found out, but they never said anything. So that's a good question. All right. I must say, advancing a kid into a higher level class is not an end-all, save-all plan. It can be if it's implemented correctly. That's the key. We're talking about a unique situation here. We're going to make it a lot more unique before we get done with all this. You must consider the barriers to entry. Of course I've considered them. That's part of the reason why I have a YouTube channel, to break down those barriers so they can get into these classes. Get the picture? Alright. What will this kid gain with a higher quality of class? Oh, a great deal. You have no idea. The class is normally the same class taught at a faster pace. Well, not in every school. Some schools, that's true, but not in every school. I remember when I was a kid, they didn't offer very many AP classes when I was a kid. I guess things have changed quite a bit since I was in school, but a lot of the people that graduated from our class, my class, to be honest with you, they didn't have anything better than Algebra 1. And there were a few of them that actually made it all the way to calculus. Okay? So, not necessarily is it the same class taught at a faster pace. Just depends on where you are and how things are being taught. Remember, things are taught differently in an urban school than they are in a rural school. You'll find this out for yourself. Go ahead and do the research. You'll find out. So, there's your answer there. Many bully victims suffer from anxiety commonly triggered by the bullyism and may not test as well as the other honor students. I agree with you. In advanced placement, you may pass the course, but if you don't pass the exam, the student does not receive the dual credit for college. That would be sad. But if this is keeping the kid from facing physical violence on a day-by-day basis, it's still worth it. Because there's always going to be some way to somehow getting that college credit. Alright? If he doesn't make it on that particular situation, they can find some other way for him to do so. Even if he has to take a proficiency test to pull it off. There you go. But I'm sure there is some way, if you research it enough, there's probably some way he can still get that college credit. He may have to work a little harder at it, but he may be able to still pull it off. And the school, I'm sure, would work with him on that. Or her, or either one. I know, I get these pronouns going, and man, forget it. Anyway. I want you to note, many bullies are not just dumb jocks. Sure, there are some bullies that are very, very intelligent. That's true. But a lot of them are basically your dumb jocks. Clever, yes, but not necessarily all that bright. And when they're just clever and not necessarily smart, you can get a kid into an AP course to separate him from the school bully. That's true. Now, I have seen bullies with 4.0 GPAs that are in all honored courses. So have I. But that doesn't mean that the majority of them are. So how do you deal with those kind of situations? Well, then it does get to be a little different because the bullying in itself is a little bit different. What the articles talked about after that was bullying from social media. That is different than physical violence. Now, social media bullying can lead into physical violence, but not necessarily. So this is a little different type of bullying than a physical violence bullying. And it must be handled a little differently. That's true. But my solution still will work. Now, the other thing I paid attention to in the article was that these kids were being targeted specifically for their intelligence. Not because of their illness, not because of poverty, but because of intelligence. So that does make it different. That's true. But my solution will still hold. It's just how it's applied that's different. Okay? So, what if you're being bullied on social media and you're being specifically targeted for your intelligence? What do? Number one, shut down all of your social media. Close all your email accounts. Close your Facebook, your Tumblr, your Twitter, anything else you have in the social media. I don't care if it's Instagram or Pinterest. Shut it all down. That way, if some kid starts pretending to be you on the internet, you can say, look, I'm not posting anything at all because I don't even have my computer on. As a matter of fact, I would take your computer out of your room. Don't bring your smartphone to school anymore. Don't take your smartphone anywhere anymore. I would get a track phone and use that for emergencies. That's what I would do. Shut it all down. Then when they continue trying to be posing as you can say, hey, I'm not even using social media at all. I'm being like the Amish. So I can't possibly be saying all that because I'm not using it. As a matter of fact, if I were you, I'd find one good best friend and hand them your computer and say, there you go. Say, I'm going to put this in your care until this situation's over with. So you'll have direct proof I'm not doing this. Now, that may be tough, and certainly be tough to find a best friend that you could trust with something like that, but there you go. Number 2. Now you say, well, wait a minute. What if I don't have any best friends I can personally trust with my computer and my smartphone? Well, turn over to your parents. You can trust them. I would hope you could trust your own parents. Give your equipment to them. Say, look, I wanted this whole thing to shut down. Here it is. I'm not on the computer. I'm not nothing. You'll just lock it away. Put it in a safe somewhere. They got those fireproof safes. Put it in a fireproof safe and lock it up. Tell your friends, I haven't been on it. You can ask my parents. They know. They've got my computer in their bedroom, locked away. I don't even have the key. Your parents can vouch for you. So you ask them yourself. That fixes it. Now, number 2. Number 2 and most important. If your friends come to you with an accusation from the internet, you say, well, can this all be backed up? Say there's pictures, inappropriate pictures of you on the internet or anything like that. Say, can this all be backed up? Can you prove that I was the one who did this? That put the people who are doing this in a real pickle. You know, your real friends will believe you over anything on social media. This is a good way to find out whether you have fair weather friends or real friends. If you have fair weather friends, dump them. You don't need them in your life anyway. If they're going to believe social media over you, then they've got a problem, and you don't want it. This is a great way to find out who your real friends are and who your fake friends are. Now then, let's say they do manage to produce some kind of a proof that you've done something. Alright? Then you give that proof to your parents. Now your parents could do one of 2 things. They could either hire a data processing guru like myself to track down where all this stuff is coming from, and then turn that over to the authorities, let them decide what they want to do with it. Or they could just directly turn it over to the authorities and say, this is what's been going on. But that's your parents' decision. They may try to do something else, I don't know. But that'll be up to your parents. But anyway, problem solved. If you start acting like an Amish person, and you get these people to cough up real evidence for what they're saying on social media, because they can always say, well, you're drunk at a party. Well, prove it. You got pictures of me drunk at a party? Huh? You got my fingerprints? How about that? As soon as that happens, the stories start falling apart. In any case, problem solved. So you see, my techniques work, but sometimes you have to implement them in a unique way to make them work. One way or the other, you can solve your problems in about 6 seconds. So my point still stands. You just have to use the intelligence in a more creative way. Alright, if you have any further comments or questions or whatever, you can go ahead and leave them down here below. I will tell you more in a future video, so stay tuned.